Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Melissa and I'm a nursing student. So I'm actually filming this video a bit prematurely. My session is not technically over. It is finals week for me, but I've completed all of my finals and all of my final assignments. The last final that I have to do is pathophysiology. So as I am filming this, it's finals week and I'm going to be taking my pathophysiology exam tomorrow. So technically I have not passed, but by the time that I upload this video, I will pass because just how my grade is right now, I could still technically fail the exam and pass the class. So this video is going to be about how I was able to pass pathophysiology even though I failed the first exam. So if you're interested in how I did that, what study techniques I used, and even what I did before the first exam to fail it so that you can learn what not to do, then keep watching this video. Okay, so if you have seen my previous videos, then you know that I attend at Chamberlain University. I go to the Tyson's Corner campus and I am going to school for my BSN and I just finished taking pathophysiology. So Chamberlain has an accelerated program. So instead of 16-week courses or taking courses for 16 weeks, it's actually condensed into 8-week sessions. So I took pathophysiology at an accelerated rate. A traditional school would have you taking pathophysiology for a full semester for 16 weeks. I just had 8 weeks of pathophysiology. It's still the same material, still the same knowledge that I had to know, the same exams that I had to take, but it was just taught to me at a very, very accelerated pace. So with that being said, pathophysiology is already a very challenging course, and then taking it at an accelerated rate is also very difficult. It was really discouraging when I got my first exam back and I failed it. And I'm not shy about talking about grades here. I am on the Dean's List at Chamberlain and I make pretty good grades, but I'm not a straight A student and I'm not shy about that. I actually got a 42% on my first exam, which is not something that I'm proud of, but it's not something that I'm ashamed of either. But I actually studied really, really hard for my first exam. The very first day that my syllabus became available, I downloaded the syllabus, I saw what chapters I needed to learn from, and I started reading the textbook, like skimming through the textbook right away. And that was one of the study methods that I used for exam 1. I did not read through the textbook like word for word just because that is very time consuming and I have not done that in other classes. Typically what I will do is I will like read the headings of each chapter and then look at the chapter summary. Like all chapters really, at the end of the chapter it'll have a summary of the important items that you need to know. And so I skimmed through all of that just to see the certain topics that I need to know. So then once the course actually opened and my professor started communicating with us, my professor gave us different resources that we could use to study for exams. So I'm not sure if BrainShark is just specific to Chamberlain or if that's all nursing schools or some nursing schools, but there's something called BrainShark videos and you access it through your school's online portal. My school uses Canvas, and there are these videos that are taught. They're just like videos that you can go on YouTube and find. You cannot find these specific videos on YouTube, but it's the same premise. It's somebody giving you a lecture with PowerPoints. And at least for my campus, when I took pathophysiology, I took it completely online. I probably should have started with that. But I took pathophysiology completely online, and with most online courses, especially ones that kind of are high yield and the information is very difficult, even though you don't go to campus, you'll have a meeting time. So like every Tuesday at 6 p.m. you have to sign in and your professor is signed in at that time and they are doing lecture virtually. Or if that's not an option, the professor will have PowerPoints each week that you can kind of look at your own leisure. Pathophysiology did not have any of that. It was 100% self-taught, to be completely honest. My professor, I never saw a lecture by my professor. I never got PowerPoints by my professor. It was just 100% self-taught. So she did write to us and she let us know that we could watch these BrainShark videos, which in my opinion were kind of like the equivalent of a lecture. So for exam 1, all that I did to study was I watched the brain shark videos, and there were hours of brain shark videos. And then I skimmed through my textbook to know the topics that I should know for the exam. So I went into exam 1 very confident using the resources that my professor gave to us, because you know, you trust your professor, and if the brain shark videos are heavily focused on these couple of topics, I'm assuming that is what the exam is on. So I sit down, I take the exam. There is not a well, I don't want to tell you exactly what's on exam 1 or even what the topics on exam 1 are, just because I don't ever want to enter some weird gray area of cheating. But I will just say that a lot of the things that I learned in those videos and with the resources that my professor gave me, when I took the exam, I got a 42%. So I will just let you do with that information what you will. And it's no fault or no blame on my professor. It's a very difficult course to take. I will say in general, pathophysiology is a lot of information. And if you don't know how to study for it, it can be difficult. I did not get a study guide. I really didn't feel like I got any guidance from my professor. This was a course that I took online. There was no lecture. So I think that all of those things probably contributed to me completely failing my first exam. So after I failed my first exam, I was just thinking, like, what the heck? Did anybody pass this exam? Did everybody fail as miserably as me? Did everybody use the resources that the professor gave us? And so I would hear people talking about grades, and I heard people saying how some people also did not do well in the exam, but then I also heard that some people did tremendously well. And so the first thing that I did was, if I heard somebody talking about the exam saying, oh, I got like a 90 something, or I did really well, first thing I did was I made a beeline to them, and I was like, what did you do? What study materials did you use? And that is a big part of how I ended up passing, or how I'm going to end up passing pathophysiology. I spoke to my classmates who I knew did well in the first exam. I found out what resources they used to study, and that is what I did. I totally ditched the brain shark videos, not to downplay them. Like I said, it actually has really good information. All of the information that I learned in those videos, it's all material that I'm going to definitely need to know in the field, and material that I'm most likely going to need to know to take the NCLEX. But unfortunately, it just was not the material that I needed to pass exam 1 of pathophysiology at my school. But one thing that I found was that the students I spoke to that passed the exam did not use the brain shark videos. There were other resources at my school that apparently really did help them. And I don't know if this is available to every school, but there's something called VCAS. I don't know what the acronym stands for, or if it even is an acronym, or if it's an abbreviation, but VCAS is the same concept of brain shark, where it is a professor or a teacher somewhere like giving you a lecture. But the difference between the VCAS and the brain shark videos was that I was able to attend these lectures in real time. My Apple Watch went off. So they were recorded. So if you couldn't make couldn't make the VCAS lecture, you could go back in and you could watch the recording. Or if you were fortunate enough where your schedule allowed you to be able to attend one of the live lectures or one of the active lectures, you could ask questions in real time. So that was one thing that I did instead of brain shark, and that helped me tremendously, just because the professors on there showed me a different way to study. They used something called concept maps. Concept maps were another thing that I did not use for exam 1, that I used for exams 2, and that I'm using for my final and just throughout the course. They really helped me, 1, pass my exams, and 2, retain the information that I needed to retain in this class. So if you don't know what concept maps are, you can Google it and look it up. There are different layouts for concept maps, but pretty much it allows you to kind of write down each disease, and then you write down the pathology of the disease, the signs and symptoms of the disease, the etiology of the disease, just everything that you really need to know about that disease, and it's categorized. And the maps start off blank and you have to like physically type it in or physically write it in. And through that writing and typing and repetition, that is how you learn. And that really helped me. Another thing that I did that I got from my classmates who passed exam 1 or did well on exam 1 was I used something called Simple Nursing. And you can Google Simple Nursing. It's, I guess, like a third-party site. It has no affiliation to my school. I don't think it has any affiliation with any school, but pretty much it is recorded videos of different concepts throughout nursing school, if that makes sense. So you can actually search by course. Pathophysiology is not the only course that Simple Nursing covers. And then you have videos, and the videos are animated. There's somebody talking to you, kind of teaching you through whatever course and whatever topic you are trying to learn about. So you can, once you create an account, you can filter it by course, and then once you're in a course, you can filter it by system and topic. So for exam 2, I looked up what was on the textbook or what was in the textbook, and I literally looked up each kind of different disease, and I went into Simple Nursing and I found videos on literally everything and watched them. I watched each video at least once. Some videos, if it was high yield and really difficult information, I would watch it 3 or 4 times. I will put a disclaimer and say that Simple Nursing is not free. It's actually, I think, pretty pricey on top of tuition. For me, it's $40 a month. They have different plans, and I do plan on keeping mine throughout like my time in nursing school just because it has been so helpful. But I will say that there are a lot of videos on YouTube that are obviously free because it's YouTube, and they are very similar to Simple Nursing. So I have Simple Nursing, but I understand that everyone's budget does not allow for that. So I will just say that there are a lot of videos on YouTube that are the same quality, if not better, as Simple Nursing that you don't have to pay for. Okay, so another resource that I used that I can't take full credit for, so I did not find out about this through my classmates. I actually found out about this by watching other people's videos on YouTube. One that I love watching, who's also a fellow Chamberlain student, it's Adrian 11.11 or Adrian 11.11. I can also write down his YouTube name below. I don't know if he'll appreciate that. I don't know him personally. I've never met him, but I watch his YouTube videos, and he recommended this thing. I don't know if it'll be backwards, but it's called Patho Flash with like a PH, Flash. And they're flashcards. And there's one for pathophysiology and there's one for pharmacology. I actually purchased the one for pharmacology by mistake. So I purchased that before class started, thinking I was going to get a head start. It finally came in only for me to find out that it was for pharmacology. So I was disappointed, but I'm obviously going to have to take pharmacology eventually. So I just put it away, and then I ordered this. So now I have both of them. This thing has helped me so much, and I will open it and kind of show you guys. So I don't know how much you can see, but so there are different tabs. They're color coded. Each tab is a different kind of like system in the body, or a different system in the body. So there's like gastrointestinal is the first one, and then when you take it out of the pack, it has all of the different diseases. Like I said, I don't know if this will be backwards, but it has all of the different diseases that are for this system, and then it has page numbers. So I like to keep everything in order, but it has page numbers. So literally you can search for the diseases that you need to know. They have this system. They also have, what is this one? The endocrine system. They have like literally obviously every system. I'm not going to go through each one. Respiratory system. It is so helpful. And because this came late, by the time that it came, I had already started pathophysiology, and the course had already started, and I had already kind of figured out my little system of watching the Brain Shark videos, which I thought would be super helpful. So honestly, I got this and I put it like to the side, and I didn't really pay attention to it for exam 1. So I didn't use these flashcards at all for exam 1. I used them for exam 2 a lot, and it really helped me. And the information that's on these cards are almost identical or very similar to what was in the textbook. So there'd be times where I would read the textbook, which is another thing that I did for exam 2 that I did not do for exam 1. Instead of skimming through the chapters the same way that I would do with these flashcards, I would look at each disease and I would read through everything in the textbook about that disease. And then the same way that I gave you guys a more affordable or free option instead of Simple Nursing. So instead of Simple Nursing, you can go to YouTube. Instead of investing in these flashcards, because I know everybody's budget is different and not everybody can afford to like buy these flashcards, you could also download Pinterest. Pinterest is another tool that I use. I just kind of started using information from everywhere, which could get overwhelming, but pathophysiology can be an overwhelming course. But Pinterest is great if you, I think you can Google it without even making an account. But if you make an account for Pinterest, you can create a nursing board, which is what I do, and my nursing board is private. Or you can just Google like pathophysiology on Pinterest, like Pinterest pathophysiology, and you will see stuff that's similar to this. That's another thing for concept maps. Pinterest will have blank concept maps that you can print out and you can write on, or that you can download and type in. They will have like, people will make animations or just stuff that's similar to these flashcards that you can print out, or you can kind of copy onto index cards and make your own. So that's just like a more affordable or free alternative to these flashcards if you are not able to invest in them. So then the last thing that I did, which I actually did it throughout the course, so from day 1 of the course, was that I turned in every single assignment on time and I did the best that I could on every assignment. I got very close to 100% on every assignment. If I wasn't getting 100%, I was getting like a 99 or a 98. So after I took exam 1, I was failing the class for a bit, but those extra grades, well, they're not extra grades, but those grades for assignments really helped me in passing pathophysiology. So even if you don't do as well on exams, or if you don't test well, make sure that you're doing well in every other area of the course, just to make sure that your grade could be as high as possible. So those are the things that I did to pass pathophysiology after failing exam 1. So if you made it to the end of this video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that this information is able to help somebody out there. Like I said, I don't take my final exam until tomorrow, so I'm filming this before taking my final exam, but by the time that I post this video, I will be completely done with pathophysiology. Regardless of the grade that I get, I am just glad that I passed, even if I do horribly. So I'm anticipating getting a B in the course, but even if I do completely horribly in my final tomorrow, I will at least get a C and pass the class. So hopefully this video will also help you pass the class. Hopefully I told you about some resources that can help you. I really appreciate the support that I've gotten for this channel and for my videos. Like I said, comment down below if there's any questions that you have or any topics that you would like me to make a video on, and I'd be happy to do that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.